Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I am honored to be with you here at FEEL's annual convention. Female Executives for Emotional Literacy has been at the forefront of addressing our society's conundrum of tears and trauma. And as women, we've had to slip off to ladies' room to dab our tears just so they wouldn't leak out during business meetings. We've had to sleep train our cry through the night babies so that we can be alert and productive for our demanding work days. And when those babies grew older, we still laid awake at night, worried that they would not enjoy the same material prosperity that we have because their schools have been overburdened, grappling with trauma, so much so that they cannot any longer prepare our kids for the workforce. Now, to fully understand this conundrum, we must use a social anthropological lens. This photo was taken in 1976 in an Indian village. The woman lying on the cot here is wailing. Her husband just died a few hours before. And the other 20 or so women that you see immediately gathered to her bedside, comforting her in support of her grief. That world no longer exists. This photo, 2005, quiet residential neighborhood in Oakland, California. The woman you see crouched on the sidewalk is sobbing, alone. She just learned that her son was tragically killed in the Iraq War. And her other son at home demanded she stop crying. No one there to comfort her. Our traditional grieving practices have died out as villages and nations across the globe have awoken to capitalism, creating a crisis of unhealed emotions. And that crisis of unhealed emotions is one that we need to grapple with. So, I have committed my life to this cause. And even though capitalism has its flaws, we can't lose sight of the fact that capitalism has brought comfort, quality, and color to our lives. I mean, are you ready to let go of your home entertainment system? And how about your collection of designer handbags? Or your vacations to exotic countries? I'm not. So we must figure out this conundrum of tears and trauma. And in order to do that, we have to go deeper. We have to go deeper than we've ever gone before. The problem is that our society has been stuck in the wrong paradigm. Our society has been using approaches for distressful emotions, like developing programs and setting up creating institutions. And those programs and institutions, such as setting up crisis hotlines, dispatching social emotional learning programs, and even inventing an entire profession called psychotherapy. That's been uphill, exhausting, and inadequate. So we have to figure something else out, an entirely new paradigm. Now, the problem is, in that approach, we've been so focused unhealing, distressing emotions. What if, just what if, we didn't have them and there was nothing to heal? Now, what that translates to is absolutely colossal. If we didn't have distressing emotions, there wouldn't be anything to heal. And at a personal level, it's obvious. No one would be distressed. But now scale that out to a societal level. All of humanity completely incapable of being distressed. Now, what that means, if no one was feeling distressed about anything, we wouldn't have to transform anything. Think about that. The abuse, tragedy, injustice, it would just be inconsequential. We could just, all of that could continue as is. And no one would be bothered. Well, ladies, that distress-free world is now entirely possible. My team at the Feel Free Institute has developed the technology to extinguish distressing emotions permanently. My dear distinguished ladies, I now present to you our first patented prototype, state-of-the-art, emotional distress exorcism chamber. The subject simply lies in it for 90 minutes daily over a 12-week period. Without getting into all the intricacies, suffice it to say that our patented technology essentially deactivates the psychic center responsible for distressing emotions. Now, you can think of that as the psychic equivalent to a lobotomy. Our state-of-the-art chamber has been fully tested. We administered the 12-week chamber treatment protocol to 1,944 subjects. And I'm happy to report all of them showed absolutely no sign of distress whatsoever. We subsequently conducted a longitudinal study over a 37-year period on 14 test cases. Each of those 14 cases received the 12-week chamber treatment protocol and then subsequently were subjected to a series of traumatic provocations. I will now, ladies, walk you through one such test case. Our subject, Kiran, is a female, Indian descent, born in 1965. She grew up in a white, middle-class suburb of Detroit. And Kiran, when she was at the age of 13, received this 12-week chamber treatment protocol. And a few months later, received her first series of stressful provocations. So, in that case, she was in 8th grade, and we planted John, a white male, brown hair, or excuse me, Diane was the first provocation, female. And in that case, you'll see, actually I have a clip of that here. So you see Diane is seated just to the right of Kiran. And there she is. She's actually getting up, walking to the back of the room, pencil in hand. She's now sharpening her pencil. And as she makes her way up the aisle, watch closely because it's coming up soon. Did you see that? Diane nonchalantly tugging Kiran's braid? Yeah, right before taking her seat. So that provocation, the frequency and duration, was bi-weekly for a 4-month period. That's 34 braid tugs. Now, normally, you would expect moderate to severe distress response. But what's remarkable, our subject was completely unfettered. She just quietly continued doing her assignment. Watch this clip. Oh, dear, that's clearly the wrong clip. I assure you, Kiran did not swing her arms at Diane and topple her own desk over. What must have happened is that was the look-alike control subject. My assistant Alexia must have inadvertently put the wrong clip in there. Anyhow, let's go to the second provocation. Our second provocation was in 9th grade. John was our plant. He was a white, brown-haired male. And here's the clip here. This is actually a view of the classroom from the outside in the hallway. There's the bell. And you begin to see the kids filing out into the hallway. And soon you'll see Kiran, followed by John. There's Kiran with the poofy hair. For some reason, she got rid of her braids. And that scraggly-haired kid is John. And you see him now leaning into Kiran's ear. There we go. So you can't really hear him very well. But let me explain what happened. So in this provocation, we pre-selected the ethnic slurs and rotated them on a monthly basis. So in this particular clip occurred in November. And that was the month that we instructed John to use the slur, go back to where you came from. Now, the frequency and duration of this provocation was daily for 6 months. 120 ethnic slurs, not counting holidays and weekends, of course. For me, this seals the deal. With that much consistent provocation, our subject, it's as though she heard none of it. Each time, she would confidently make her way through the sea of white kids to her next class. Watch. Oh dear, that must be that look-alike control subject again. Believe me, that was grabbing John by the collar and slamming him against the locker. Alexia is new. I will have a talk with her. I don't know why she's mixing up these video clips. Anyhow, moving right along, we wanted to be sure that our 12-week chamber treatment protocol would be effective even under severe trauma. So when Kiran was 24, we subjected her to a series of traumatic events. So first of all, what we did is we took the man that she thought she would spend her life with, we arranged for him to break up with her. And then 4 days later, we arranged for a stranger to threaten to bash her skull in with a sledgehammer. And 2 days after that, we arranged for one of her close friends to stop returning her calls. Now, all of this is pretty severe, triple trauma. So in addition to our basic 12-week chamber treatment, we decided to augment that with another layer, a social conditioning. And in our test case, Kiran, this was administered by her father. Here's an example of one dose of her father's social conditioning. Beta, I know you went through too much, but if you cry, it will just make the pain more. Beta, just be strong, okay? Don't cry. Daya! Oh, Daya, Ja, go wash your face. Mommy's bringing some water to drink, and then we'll go for ice cream, okay? I love that ice cream bit. We'll have to add that in. And now you'll see just how beautifully our subject quieted down. Crying won't make it worse. It'll release the pain. I need to cry to heal. Dad, listen to me. I don't need ice cream and I don't want water. I have to cry. And if I need to leave to cry, I will. Let go of my arm. So this did happen. Now, keep in mind, this was an experiment in which our subject was undergoing quite a bit of trauma, and so what we did was we gave her a chamber booster, and then she immediately settled down. And actually, please, if you could stay just a little longer, I just have one more clip. It'll be really quick. So the final thing we wanted to test was the emotional distress response to physical pain. So when Kiran was 31, we infected her with the chickenpox virus. And as you may know, chickenpox in an adult is excruciating, even like 10 times more so than in children. So when she got this virus, she was quarantined for 2 weeks and no sign of distress. In fact, she was peacefully catching up on her reading, cooking, clearing through her paper clutter. You'll see. There are blisters all over my body. And then it's like they're all itchy at the same time, and I'm not supposed to scratch them. It hurts so much. And I'm all alone. Thank you for being with me, Daddy. Oh no, please don't leave. I assure you this is the wave of the future. We're still in testing phase. We just have a few bugs to work out. We'll give her a couple more boosts of the chamber and get our clips organized and we'll still give you first dibs for endorsing our patented Alexia. My God, how could she do this to me? This was a conspiracy. All the funders and investors are going to listen to what Feels says. They're the female executives for emotional literacy, for crying out loud. I'm ruined. Decades of my life work. I have to turn this around somehow, even if it kills me. I mean, I'm so rattled I can't even think straight.